Alexander the Great. I mean, the name alone just sounds legendary, right? But what if I told you that behind all the myths there was a very real strategy, a kind of blueprint for success that let this one guy, change the entire world forever? So, let's get into it. Let's figure out what really made him so great.
Okay, first off, just look at this number, 33. I want you to let that sink in for a minute. That's how old he was when he died. And by then, he'd already conquered pretty much the entire known world. It's just staggering when you really think about it.
And if that's not crazy enough, get this. In all those years of fighting, of campaigning across continents, he never lost a single major battle. Not one. I mean, that's not luck, right? That points to a system, a strategy that was just ridiculously effective, almost foolproof.
The scale of what he did is honestly kind of hard to wrap your head around. We're talking about an empire stretching all the way from Greece to India. He connected Europe and Asia in a way that nobody before him had even dreamed was possible.
So, yeah, that brings us to the big question, doesn't it? What made him so unstoppable? What was the secret sauce? Because it clearly wasn't just about having a big, tough army. No, it was something more. It was about the mind behind the man.
And that's exactly where we're going to start. You see, his success didn't just happen on the battlefield. Not at all. It started way, way earlier. It started with his education, with forging the mind of a conqueror.
So he had these two massive and totally different influences in his life. On one hand, you've got his dad, King Philip II. He's the one who taught him the tough, gritty realities of power, politics, and military discipline. But on the other hand, his mentor was Aristotle. Yeah, the Aristotle. And from him, he learned how to think about philosophy, science, and strategy.
So you can see how this all came together, right? He was basically a student of both the sword and the mind. He wasn't just some brute on a horse. He was a brilliant thinker. And that combination, that mix of battlefield smarts and deep intellectual training, well, it made him a kind of leader the world had never seen before.
Okay, so how did all that brainpower actually work out on the battlefield? Well, here's the interesting thing. Alexander didn't really invent a bunch of new weapons. Instead, he perfected how to use the tools he already had. And in doing that, he turned his army into a truly unbeatable war machine.
Now, he inherited this amazing formation from his dad, the Macedonian flanks. Just try to picture this. A massive, dense block of soldiers, all holding these ridiculously long spears called sarissas. We're talking 18 feet long. It was basically a moving wall of sharp points, an unbreakable wall. This was the anvil of his army, perfect for stopping an enemy cold in their tracks.
But, every anvil needs a hammer. And Alexander's hammer, his secret weapon, his trump card, was the companion cavalry. This was his own special touch. We're talking about a super fast, elite group of horsemen. And the key part? He led them himself, right into the heart of the battle.
And the real genius was how he put the two together. His signature move was just devastatingly simple, really. Step 1, hold. He'd send in the phalanx to pin the enemy army, basically trapping them against this wall of spears. Step 2, strike. While they were stuck, he would personally lead his cavalry on a lightning-fast charge right at their weakest spot. Hold, then strike. That 1-2 punch won him pretty much every battle.
But his genius wasn't just about battlefield tactics. Oh no, he was an absolute master of psychological warfare. He played mind games. He deliberately spread rumors about how he was invincible. He'd attack with shocking speed when nobody saw it coming. And he'd pull off these stunts that seemed literally impossible, like building a land bridge through the sea to capture the fortress of Tyre. Who does that?
So, think about it from his enemy's perspective. You're not just fighting an army. You start to believe you're fighting someone chosen by the gods. And that belief, that fear, it became his silent weapon. Maybe his most powerful one.
Okay, so conquering territory is one thing, but Alexander's vision was so much bigger than just winning battles and taking land. He wasn't just about domination. He actually wanted to build a whole new world, one that connected cultures instead of just crushing them. He had this amazing strategy of what we'd call cultural fusion. So instead of just forcing Greek culture on everyone, he did the opposite. He actually encouraged his soldiers to marry local women. He started wearing Persian clothes and adopting their traditions, and he founded over 20 cities, a lot of them named Alexandria, of course, and designed them to be these incredible melting pots for knowledge and trade.
And what all of this created was something we now call the Hellenistic world. It was this totally new era where Greek ideas, art, and philosophy started mixing and blending with the incredible cultures of Egypt, Persia, and India. You see, his real lasting legacy wasn't the land he conquered. It was the birth of this brand new, interconnected global culture.
Which brings up a really important question, right? Because grand strategies are great, but what makes thousands upon thousands of soldiers follow one guy into the total unknown for years and years, thousands of miles from home?
Well, it really came down to his leadership. I mean, this guy didn't command from a tent in the back. He led from the absolute front, often the first one charging into battle. He shared their hardships, ate the same food, slept in the same conditions. He rewarded loyalty and courage, no matter who you were. He was brilliant at turning rivals into allies. And maybe most of all, he just dreamed bigger than anyone else, and he made them believe in that dream. You know, there's this great quote attributed to him, something he'd tell his men. There is nothing impossible to him who will try. And the amazing part? They believed him. They absolutely believed him. He made them feel like they weren't just soldiers, they were part of something historic, something unstoppable.
All right, so let's put all the pieces together and look at the final blueprint. Alexander's life was like a short, brilliant flame. He died so young. But man, the impact he made would echo for centuries. And here's the big paradox of his whole story. The actual physical empire he built, it fell apart pretty quickly after he died. But his ideas, the cultural blending, the military strategy, that unique leadership style, that stuff spread like wildfire and literally shaped the rest of history.
So if you had to boil it all down to a formula for success, this is it. You start with preparation, training your mind, not just your body. Then you add innovation, not inventing something new, but making what you have way better. You mix that with bold, lead-from-the-front leadership, and you fuel the whole thing with a vision so big that it makes everyone around you believe the impossible is possible.
You know, the old story says he cried because there were no more worlds left to conquer, but maybe that's missing the point. Maybe his final and most important conquest wasn't about land or armies at all. Maybe he conquered the most important world there is, the human imagination.